Hey, I'm Paul Monhead from Yield Fitness. I've got a little bit of a teaching today. It's actually going to have to do with a little bit of impingement in the pectoral. I had a friend of mine actually let me know that a doctor had actually recommended to him that he use rowing exercises to open up space in between any tightness that he had in his pectorals in order to keep that impingement from traveling into his hand and making his hand tingle, hurt, or go numb. Now, although it is true to open up the chest, we do need to retract the shoulder blades and pull them back and open up the upper pectoral area. There's one problem. Well, there's several, but we're going to talk about one. The first one is going to be that if you have any soft tissue that is actually holding you back in the front, by pulling back, you're not changing much, other than the fact that you are retracting. We need to actually release the soft tissue that is impinging you in the front in order for that tissue to stay extended to open up the space that we need within the capsule of the shoulder in order to help the impingement not come back. And so what we're going to be using is just a way to be able to push fluid, to be able to bring water and blood and nourishment into the area of the pectoral region by adding a little bit of compression into the pec. And I'm going to show you one way to do that. I particularly like using a Eucerin cream, and so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and open up the space in my pec, and I'm going to grab the tissue and I'm going to go ahead and massage it just a little bit. Okay, there's several different ways. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually separate the pec off of the rib cage just a little bit. So I've got a little bit of cream in my hand, and I'm going to go ahead and grab it so that it's right under, almost in my armpit, and you'll feel where the pec pretty much goes under and connects into the rib cage. And then I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to place it right up on top. Okay? And to illustrate this a little bit better, I'm going to go right about here. So I'm inside, I'm pulling it slightly off the rib cage, putting my fingers in between. It'll take time before you gain strength enough to where you can keep your hand there for a little while. Use slight compressions to begin with. And then I'm going to grab the pec and I'm very lightly going to start to massage the area. Okay? And so I'm going to go close to, I'm going to follow, and if you notice I'm actually following that pec all the way up to where it actually gets almost all the way connected into the shoulder. And I'm looking for any aberrant tissue or anything that's really kind of holding me back. And if I find a spot that's kind of tender, I'm just going to press just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to move a little, and I'm going to press maybe 3, 4, 5. Good, maybe like 5-second compression. And then I'm going to move and I'm going to do it again. Okay, now compression is 1. Now at this point I'm not really moving my arm much, but if I wanted to, I could take it through its range of motion and I can open it up. And what I'm doing is I'm actually pushing the fluid away and trying to knead out the knots that are holding me back. Okay, now once I've done this for, let's say, 3, 4, 5 minutes, it depends on the impingement for you. If it's really tight and you want to spend more time on it, that's fine. You could also use a lacrosse ball or something else. This is more of a manual therapy technique. Once it's warmed up, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to stretch it out. And my arm can go in lots of different directions. So what I'm going to choose to do is maybe just take my arm, I'm going to pull it back behind me, maybe I'm holding on to like a bar or something, and I'm going to rotate in the opposite direction in order to open up that tissue and extend it and stretch it. The sequence matters. If I use that sequence, I'm going to melt the tissue, I'm going to mold the tissue where I want it, and then once I actually start moving and doing push-ups and everything like that, the tissue is not going to be restricted by all that tissue that was previously knotted up. So that's one way to be able to add a little bit of manual therapy technique into releasing the pectoral, which in the end starts to fix some of the region of that entire or anterior side of the shoulder complex. There's definitely more muscles that are involved, but that can definitely help. It'll even help if you have healthy tissue and no impingement. It'll help extension, which means in the end, you'll be able to use that pectoral in a full range of motion. Hope you enjoyed. If you want some more info, I've got a Facebook page. You can look up Yield Fitness, or you can look up for individual coaching and nutritional consultation online at yieldfitness.com. Have a great one.